Hey, I've been good. I've been optimistic about the whole thing and definitely positive that things will go back to normal soon. But I've just been following protocol. Yeah, just do the best that you can with what you have, where you're at. I mean, I think that's just the best way to handle it in general. The pandemic standpoint, as far as creatively, how I've been dealing with it is definitely in the beginning, everything was pretty much shut down. So I wasn't really creating much in the beginning of quarantine, but when the regulations came out and then they gave us pointers on how to handle things, the 6 foot to distance and wearing a mask and definitely hand sanitizer, slowly studios started opening up but follow those guidelines, which made sense. And so I got back into the studio, got back into creating, and it was kind of an adjustment because I did take a break for a minute, but I was happy to be back because that's like my second home. So that's just where I find joy. And then as far as personally, the pandemic, before the pandemic, I was a homebody. So it was easy for me just to sit my ass at home and just relax, and chill out. So that wasn't much of an adjustment, but when someone tells you to stay home, you want to go out. So now I'm like, okay, when are we going to get this thing, back going? But I've been just at home, definitely wash your hands, wear your mask when need be, hand sanitizer, and just keep your distance. Yeah, I definitely want to do a house setup because I feel like it helps. It's a win-win situation for every artist if you have an at-home setup. But luckily, my man is his house, so we just use his house for whatever we need. No, I definitely agree. I feel like the quarantine and just, having that time with yourself, it was a big self-reflection year for me, especially. I mean, unfortunate that events took place, but as far as like tapping into what I got going on, it definitely did help with being more in tune with that. So I agree. The creative flow for me during all of those tragic events was definitely, my spirit wasn't right. So I couldn't create music, especially the music that I create. I couldn't create it freely with that being so heavy on my heart and heavy on my mind. Because, I feel for George Floyd's family and I feel for all of these. We lost so many great people and I felt for them. So I couldn't really put all of myself into my music, feeling for somebody else, And so I definitely had my moments where I had to just kind of like take a step back, reset, and then slowly go back into the creative flow of things. Honestly, what brought peace and tranquility for me was family time. The small gatherings that we did have definitely kept me sane through all of the craziness. And also working out is something that I fell in love with during the whole quarantine. I stopped in the beginning, but then it was kind of like a way to just exert all of the energy that I was building up inside. So that's a good way to put it all out there. If I'm not creating, it's definitely working out or baking. I love to bake.